Hey guys, RCDButs here again, and today we're going to talk about how to program an aligned gyro. We're going to do an example on a GP780. Most of this is going to apply also to the GP750. What we're going to do is you're going to have your gyro set here. First thing we're going to program in here is the pulse width modulation, or the frame rate. So you don't want to plug in your servo yet. You also want to know what kind of modulation scheme your servo is using. Most of them are going to be like a 1520 setup. I've gotten a line DS520 on there right now, but if you've got something like a Futaba BLS251, these are 760 microseconds. So know the modulation of the servo that you're using. Check the specifications for whatever you've got. So I'm going to power this guy up here. Alright, so here we go, getting to where we can see. What you're going to be doing is programming with your rudder stick right here. So there's a little layout here on the gyro, and this is how it is. There's a little red-green status LED right here. It'll either be red or green. Different settings versus the modulation, digital or analog servo, normal reverse, limit, and the delay. So you'll go through each one, and it's actually a pretty simple programming. There's one button on here, and the status LED is this one up here, and then there's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different settings that you have to go through. So you're going to hold the button down, and when it gets in the programming mode, you'll see this button starts flashing. So what you want to do here is, I've got it set to the 1520. Most of the servos are going to be 1520. And that's left on the rudder stick, keeps it green. If you go right on the rudder stick, it turns red. So that will make it like a 760 frame rate. And for the GP780, for this to actually work, you're going to have to go over 3 times total for it to actually register. See, because I'll go now through the rest of the menu. And we'll see when we enter programming mode. See, now it's red. But if I go left just once to turn it green, button's a little stuck there. Get out of programming mode. Go back to it. Oh, well, it looks like it worked this time. Must be an earlier GP780, but some of them won't register until you go 1, 2, 3 on the rudder stick for what you're going to do. So 1520 is a setting. I want the status green. I'm going to go to the next setting, which is digital or analog servo, right here. So green is for a digital servo, red is for an analog servo. Most people are going to be using a digital servo. If you're using an analog servo, again, check the specifications of your servo and make sure you change it, give it rudder so that it's red. But I'm digital, so I'm green. The next settings here, we're going to have the servo plugged in to show that they're working right. So we get out of programming mode, plug in the servo. It's going to be, when you plug it in, it's signal, power, and ground. So usually it'll be with the with the connector where you can decide where you can see the wires. Plug in your servo. We've got the correct settings, we've got the correct pulse width going, and we're going to go back into programming mode by holding this down. Alright, we've got that set, got that set. Now, okay, actually first thing we're going to talk about is direction. Making sure that with the stick input that our tail is going the direction that we want it to go in. So we'll take a look at the tail. And right here, you can see left input makes the tail pitch slider on an align heli. It'll make the tail pitch slider go right, and the leading edge of the blades will go right. So with left rudder, you want the nose to go left and the tail to go right. And the tail is going to go the direction of the leading edge of the blade. So if you give it left, the tail will go leading edge. The front's going left, so I'm in the correct direction. Give it right rudder, it makes the tail leading edge go left, which would make the nose go right, and it would make the tail go left. So whatever you give it in the way of rudder, it's going to go the direction of the leading edge. For the Align helicopters, which is most of what I've got, I like to follow the tail pitch slider. It's a good rule of thumb just for the Align helicopters. Some helicopters are going to be different with different setups. But we've got the direction correct. If not, you'll have to go in there to your servo settings inside of your transmitter and reverse the rudder. Okay, so now that we've got the modulation set up and all correct, we've got the digital analog mode that it's supposed to be. We're going to go to the third mode, which is, as we see here, the correction direction mode is what it's going to be. So we'll show you what we want it to do. Basically, the setup that you want to have, here I'll center it right here, you want it to, as you push the tail one direction, you want the leading edge of the blades to go the other direction. So if you push it left, you want the leading edge of the blades to go right. And on the Align helicopter, it's pretty simple, because if you push it left, you want the tail slider to go right. If you push it right, you want the tail slider to go left. So we'll show you here, pushing it left, you see the tail slider goes right, and as we push it right, you see the tail slider is going left. So it's actually in the correct direction. If it was in the incorrect direction, if you were pushing it left and the leading edge was going left, or on an Align helicopter, you can also see that the tail pitch slider would go left. As you push it left, then it's going in the wrong direction, and you want to change the color of that setting right here. But we're already okay with what we've got here. So we've got still green, green. Here we've got red. Limit. Okay, what we're going to do is first we're going to do the left limit. So you push it all the way left until the servo starts binding, and then you're just going to kind of back it up just a little bit. So you no longer have binding, and then stop, and then wait, and it'll turn red. And then when it turns red, you're ready to go to the other side. So you're going to go right, then you want to back it out when it's not binding. No longer binding, wait for it to turn red again. Okay, so you set your limits. And this will set the limits on the tail slider. And we'll show you now exactly what's going on while we're doing that setting from the tail perspective. Get it back into programming mode. Okay, so we're going to set the left limit. You go all the way. No longer binding. We wait for it to turn red. Okay, status turns red. Go all the way over to the right, and then back it up a little bit to where it's not, servo's not binding anymore. Turns red. Okay, so you've got your limit setting set up. Then you press the button, and then it goes back to the center. The final setting here is the limit, or is the delay. So for a small helicopter, like a T-Rex 250 or a 450 and maybe even a 500, you'd want it to be on the red setting. And then for a large helicopter, you want it to be on the green setting. It just kind of has a different delay setting. Smaller ones, you know, don't need as much delay, or might need more delay. If you want to add more, there's the red and green setting, but then there's also a percentage. So right stick right here is red, left stick is green. If we want to go right stick and it's the red setting with 0% delay, we just do it as center stick. But it's between 0 and 100 for the red setting. We can do 0% to 100% delay. So if we want to have 100% with the red, like this would be the setting for a T-Rex 250 or something, we'd hold it all the way to the right and then we'd push the button. And then that makes sure that we program more delay. If you're having tail wag issues, you might find that just messing with different levels of delay will help you figure out how to get rid of that wag. Also, I found that some people with bigger helis, they find their sweet spot when it's red, and with smaller helis they find it when it's green. So just try different settings on that, see what works for you.